Hi, this is Shaun Bradshaw with Zenergy Technologies, and I'm continuing the series today with point number 3 of our series on testers transitioning from Waterfall to Agile. Since it's the third in the series, I think it's appropriate to call this one the Three Amigos. So what do we mean by the Three Amigos? I'm not talking about the movie made famous by Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short, but rather I'm talking about a concept sometimes referred to as a triad, where we want developers, testers, and the product owner, or sometimes a business analyst, actually working together throughout the sprint to identify what the key features are, how they'll be tested, how they'll be created, and making sure that everyone who needs to be involved in the conversations are involved. You know, I grew up as a tester in the Waterfall methodology. And I can remember, getting requirements late, getting designs late, getting code late, and then being amazed as I was doing my analysis, how many questions I had that seemed to go unanswered. And I often had thought, how great it would be if I could have been involved in more of the meetings, more of the conversations earlier in the process, so I could get those questions answered, and then everyone seems to be on the same page. Unfortunately, when I was in my early days of my career, that wasn't always possible. Agile wasn't around. There were some organizations that I worked with that allowed that type of work, even though we were more waterfallish. But still, I think Agile sets up very well for this, and of course we call that the Three Amigos. So here's what we mean by that. When you're looking at a user story, as a tester, as a developer, a product owner, BA, any member of the team, it really doesn't matter, and you have a question, concern, an idea about what needs to be done, it's important to ensure that everyone is involved in that conversation. And by everyone, I don't necessarily mean everyone on the team, but all the key areas are represented. So we want a tester involved in the conversation, we want a business analyst or a product owner, and we want a developer involved in the conversation. One of the reasons this is important is, I think, best illustrated by something that has actually happened to me, and I'll give a quick story on it. So imagine, if you will, in a waterfall project, the project manager or business analyst identifies a requirement. Maybe they communicate with the developer very directly, conversationally. Maybe they just write up their requirement, pass it on to the developer. The developer has an idea of what they're going to do to actually make that work. How are they going to make that work? The tester also gets that document, and without any further conversation does their analysis and determines that this is how they're going to test it and what they expect to happen. Now, on many occasions, I had this particular type of thing happen where the developer thought the requirement meant one thing and the tester or I thought that something else should happen. And of course, when I ran my tests, the expected result wasn't what it actually did because the developer did something different. In that instance, of course, I would fail the test, go talk to the developer, and we would realize that we both interpreted the requirement differently. Well, of course, then we need an arbiter. So we would go to the business analyst or the project manager and we would ask, hey, what did you actually want this thing to do? And more often than not, it wasn't unusual to see that the business analyst had a completely different idea of how they thought it should work. And so in that case, we were all three on different pages. And that's the really great thing about the Three Amigos concept, is it allows everyone to get on the same page at the same time, so you lose some of that inefficiency. You actually all understand. Sometimes, it may feel a little bit painful to have all these conversations, but realize the purpose of the conversation is to create more collaboration, better understanding, so that we're all working towards the same goal. So the final point I'll make on this is, with the Three Amigos, if you see a business analyst and a developer, or a product owner and a developer over in the corner chatting about something, be curious, get up, go talk with them, make sure that you understand what's going on to enforce the Three Amigos in your organization, and you'll be better for it, you'll do better testing, and you'll all be on the same page. Next up, we've got point number 4, and look forward to talking to you soon about that.